Hi, I am Dana K. White, and I am here to talk about decluttering. I am answering questions that were submitted ahead of time at askdanakWhite.com. That's where you can go to submit questions for future lives. If you're watching live for the last part of this video, I will take questions from those of you who are watching. So we are going to get straight into the questions. Let's start with the first one. So this is the abbreviated version of what the question asker actually wrote. So let me read exactly what they wrote. Okay, I love this question. I am struggling with getting rid of scarves because I think of every outfit I could wear them with. And then she says, respect to your nothing around the neck policy. I am using them to wrap around my blankets, comforters, quilts, another issue, because it ties them up nicely. I'm not a great folder either. Me neither. Is this clever reuse or putting off decluttering? Oh my word, I love this question so much. Like, I love this question so much. Okay, so in case y'all haven't read it, in Decluttering at the Speed of Life, that one right there. Actually, it's right here too. Let me see. I've got a copy right here. Anyway, in Decluttering at the Speed of Life, I use scarves as my example to explain the container concept. Okay. And anyway, so that's what she's referring to when she's like, I use that as an example, even though I personally am not a big scarf wearer because like, I don't like to feel like there's something around my neck. Anyway, but I love this question because I get it. Like, I get this thought process, and it goes to the heart of that. Like, does this count? Am I doing the right thing? Which is something that those of us who have experienced years of not feeling, honestly, those of us who have struggled in our home for years, it is hard to trust yourself when you are working on your home. And this is a creative idea, right? And a lot of us who struggle with our homes tend to be very highly creative people. And it can start to feel like, okay, am I going down that road again? Am I just whatever? Should I just be getting rid of these? Here's the thing. Decluttering is stuff leaving your house or going to its final resting place within your home. Okay? If it has a place to be, it's not clutter. So it either needs a place to be or it needs to leave the house. Okay? You are achieving the place to be. Okay? Now, where I'm going to say to watch in this scenario is if it's being used to wrap around your blankets, comforters, quilts, that the one that is being used there, great. Okay. The problem that those of us who are highly creative and come up with these kinds of solutions can run into, which is probably one of the reasons that you're questioning yourself, is you're thinking, okay, I've tried stuff like this before and then it just got me into this mess. What we have to be careful of is, now that we've come up with this use for this item that we wanted to keep anyway, it's a tendency of ours to be like, oh, okay, well, now I can keep all my scarves because they have a good purpose. They have a good use. But the ones that aren't actually being used for that, those still have to have a home. Okay. So they either need a home for, these are the scarves that I wear, a home of this is the place where I would look first for scarves when I'm going to tie it around a blanket, a comforter, a quilt. Okay. It needs to have a home. And so the thing that makes something not clutter is for it to have a place to be, either a specific place within your house or in the trash or the donate box. Okay. outside of your house. If you're thinking, okay, but how do I determine the place to be? Watch my video from last week. Okay, it came out last Thursday. It's called How to Find a Place for Everything. It's how we do this. And spoiler, it's where would you look for this first? But I go into lots more words on that in that video last week. But and the thing I want to tell you is, you're awesome. You're creative. You're coming up with this great idea. The boundary that you need is not to say, no, you shouldn't use these things, you should get rid of it. The boundary is to say, does something have a place to be in my home that isn't taking up the space that's needed for something else, right? So let that be the outside of you determining factor is, does this fit within my home? Does it have a place to be that isn't, using up the space that I need for something else that, we keep in my house? I hope that makes sense. But I just want to tell you that I feel this angst of yours, and you're doing great. I mean, like, you've come up with a great idea. Just instead of thinking of it as, this is a great idea to get to keep my scarves, instead think of it as, this is a great place for my scarves to be, as opposed to, now I can keep all my scarves, and then that's how it ends up getting out of control. Okay, is they have to have a place to be. Okay, the ones being used for this, the ones not being used for this, all that. All right, next question. These are great questions. Y'all are the greatest. Okay. Hi, Dana. I would like to get rid of some old, ugly storage containers, which means decluttering what is inside of them. How do I follow the decluttering question when the answer to where would I look for this first is the container I want to get rid of? Okay, so just like when you're cleaning off the coffee table and you run across a screwdriver, and the first answer to where would I look for this screwdriver first is on the coffee table, but you're wanting to clean off the coffee table. So the idea is, like, if this coffee table was clear the way that I want it to be, where would I look first for the screwdriver? Okay. It's the same thing here. Your goal is to get rid of this storage container. You want it to be gone. We're not replacing it. You're just wanting it to be gone, which is a great, great thing. Know that you're doing the same thing as that screwdriver and the coffee table. You are saying, if I needed this item first, if I needed this item, where would I look for it first? You're taking this storage container out of the equation. Okay. So it's like, this storage container is not going to exist. This is not going to be here as a space. So where would I look for this first without this, being part of the equation? Here's the thing. So many times a storage container, especially, you're going to end up most likely being surprised at how much of the stuff in there that you will just get rid of. Okay. And I hear from people all the time who say, I cannot believe how many storage containers I didn't actually need. Like, now that I'm actually going through them, I'm getting rid of so many storage containers, which is great that you're wanting to do that. The problem is sometimes this kind of a question, like, okay, but what do I do? Because that's where I'm going to look for it first. That can keep you from looking in it, right? And you're thinking, I'm going to be relocating all of that. And you have a strategy now. That's what we're talking about. You have a strategy for relocating things. In reality, though, when you look in it, now that you know you have a strategy, you're most likely, once you look, going to realize, oh, there's actually a lot of stuff that could just be trash or donated or whatever that's in this container. Okay. Next question. How do you keep track of tasks without getting distracted? I can write things in a planner, but I never look at it because I get distracted before I even get it open. If I go to the store again this week without buying dish soap, I might just lose my mind. Oh, I feel that. I feel that pain. I'm just going to tell you what I do. And yeah, on both of these things. So as far as how do I keep track of tasks without getting distracted, the number one thing that I've done has been that I have boiled down the most basic tasks that I need to complete in my house. Okay. Number one, if y'all have ever watched anything of mine before, you know what it is, right? Everybody together now, say it out loud, do the dishes, right? Like, do the dishes, sweep the kitchen, check the bathrooms for clutter, and do a 5-minute pickup. If the only things you can do, if you can only do one thing, do the dishes. If you can only do two things, do the dishes and do a 5-minute pickup. Boiling it down to these are the things that will get my home out of disaster status, keep my home out of disaster status, maintain any progress that I've already made. I mean, like, these are the things. That's what I needed, because I relate so much to the making a list and losing the list, or forgetting to look at the list, or never thinking about the list again. Because when I just wanted to make a list of all the things that needed to be done, that list was a mile long because so many things needed to be done. So instead, identifying these are the basics, y'all, just those things, just doing the dishes and doing a 5-minute pickup every day will change your home. I don't care how bad it is. If you will do those two things every day, your home will start to change. It is shocking and amazing. And just knowing, okay, I don't have to make a list, I just have to do the dishes. There is something freeing about that psychologically. I'm not a mental health professional, but it feels that way, right? Like, there's something freeing, like, I don't have to think this through. I don't have to make a big list of all the stuff that I should get to. I just need to do the dishes. And then it naturally leads to other things. But even if it doesn't, the dishes are done, and that makes a huge impact on my house. Okay. So identifying just the absolute basics and letting those be the things. When I started doing that and got it to the point where I didn't need to write down those things, like I had boiled it down so far that I don't need to write this down. When I was doing those things, my house was so significantly improved that writing a list was more about details, and that was more of a way to keep myself on track. But I only did it for the things that were in addition to that. I don't do it for those things. Therefore, my house is okay when I do those things, list or not. Big list of all these things. Okay. I use lists for detailed, like, beyond that stuff. Like, okay, today we need to we need to tackle the project of the backyard. Okay, well, then that means these things need to be done. And that's a way to keep myself on track on a project basis. But on the daily stuff, I have it boiled down to where I don't need the list. Okay. Other thing too, that's not here in the abbreviated version, but that they had asked was if I go to the store one more time, not getting the dish soap, I might just lose my mind. Okay. So, I know that this is not available to everyone everywhere, but I will say that it's available even in my small town, and therefore I feel like it's available a lot of places. I know there are people who don't do it yet. What I do is I use grocery pickup, because what that lets me do is the minute I think about dish soap, I go ahead and add it to cart, so that when I do my grocery pickup, it's already in there and I'm not having to think through those things. I know there are people who, a friend of my daughter, her mom, she was saying, oh, my mom uses the Walmart grocery app, but she never actually does a grocery pickup. She just adds things to the app and then uses that as her grocery list. And I'm like, hey, if you want to go grocery shopping, that would be a way to do that, right? And the other thing about that is that we'll actually tell you which aisle it's on. Did you know that? Yeah. Not an advertisement. I'm just saying, like, for whatever grocery store you have, I don't know if it's always that way, but on the Walmart one, I will often, when I'm in the store and I'm like, I don't know where such and such is, I'll look it up in the app and it'll say it's on aisle 9, whatever. And I'm like, that's cool. Okay. Because I have texted friends before and been like, where are toothpicks? Like, what are they next to? I don't have to do that anymore. Okay. Let's see. Okay, I love this. Now that I know I'm not the only person alive who can comfortably live with and look over clutter, hallelujah, meaning yay, she's not the only one. How do I motivate myself to implement your process? I know I need to quit bringing stuff into the house, and my husband reminds me over and over again not to. But it's like I can't help myself. If it's a bargain or something I like, collect, I buy it. I'm beginning to think I have some issues. Okay, so I totally get it, right? Like it is actually, when you say the word bargain, I do think, again, not a mental health professional. How many times am I going to say that today? But I do think there's probably some addiction stuff going on there, right? Like, yeah, it feels like, at least in my case, I was so driven to go search for bargains and find bargains when I was in my garage sale era. Uh, okay, two questions here. First of all, how do I motivate myself to implement your process? The first thing is to make sure that you understand that you do not have to set aside a certain amount of time. It is literally look at a space, grab a black trash bag, and start with the trash. Do not underestimate the power of that. Even if you say, I don't have any time. Well, I don't know what you're doing right now, but if you're able to grab whatever you have to put trash in, look at a messy space and start throwing away trash, there is so much power in that getting started and in the immediate impact that you have on a space. So the best way to motivate yourself to implement the process is to do the absolute least amount that you can do, but following the process so that you can see, oh, it is worth my time. That, and starting in a visible space is a big deal because then you are motivated to keep going. You're seeing your progress. The shopping part of it, I will say the best way to stop yourself from shopping is to declutter. When you go through the decluttering process, you can I have a link down there, and it's at aslobcomesclean.com/5, FIVE. That will give you my 5-step process. Try that process on your spaces. And I'm just saying, like, this is what I found for myself. I stopped shopping. I stopped bringing stuff in because I was decluttering. And as I decluttered, I was getting rid of stuff that I had once had that bargain rush from, like, oh my goodness, these candlesticks are only 25 cents. Well, then I end up going through the decluttering process, realizing there is no room for them here and they don't deserve to be in my house because I don't actually really like them. I only grabbed them because they were 25 cents or 50 cents or whatever. And it hurts. Like, it's painful. Decluttering is not fun, right? I don't care what people say. It's just, it's fun to be done, but the actual process of it and letting something go that you were once excited about and now you realize it's been making your life more difficult and it's ruined now because it's set at the bottom of a pile or whatever. All those feelings are difficult, but those feelings are worth it because that's what changes this desire to shop, because things start to look different. It's bad news because when you go to the garage sale, you identify future clutter. Things look different to you now. It doesn't look like, oh, that's cool. It looks like, oh yeah, I've gotten rid of 6 different things that are very, very similar to that, or actually maybe even exactly that. So it really, the best way to stop the clutter coming in is to declutter instead, and it changes your perspective on everything. And it's one of those things where it's like, I can guarantee you this will happen if you start decluttering. But I also know what it's like to be in your position and not believe me. Like, I understand there's only so much the thing that will motivate you to implement the process and is to start the process. The thing that will keep you from doing all the clutter bringing in of clutter is to declutter. Yeah. So there's a lot of value in going ahead and trying it, even if you're just saying, I'm just experimenting, just try it. Because that will take you farther than listening to me talk for hours and hours and hours. Okay. Okay. Tips for helping someone who wants to declutter but is feeling overwhelmed. Yes, that 5-step process, my 5-step process, the printable for that, you can get it at slobcomesclean.com/5 when you sign up for the newsletter. If you ever, like, I had somebody, I don't know, somebody leave a comment or something, and I don't even know where it was, because sometimes I see a comment when I'm out and about and they were like, I tried to sign up for it and it did. Always just email us. Just email us, slobcomesclean@gmail.com. It is on my website. It's on the contact. Like, yeah, you can always email and be like, hey, I didn't get this, and we'll get it to you. My assistant will get it to you. But this process works so well with helping other people. Why? Because it's not emotional. So it removes that power struggle that happens so many times when you try to help somebody declutter. They're probably feeling overwhelmed anyway. And then if you're helping them and it feels like it's increasing their overwhelm, it's likely because they feel like they're going to have to justify a lot of things. With my process, they don't have to justify anything. It is literally, okay, she said, I recommend you print it out and you like use that as kind of something outside of yourself. Say, okay, that lady on the internet says, start with trash. So do you see any trash here? If they say that they don't see any trash, even though you see it, you're like, oh, is that trash? And they say, oh no, that's not trash. Even though you're wanting to throw it away, earn their trust. Okay. And just say, okay, well, let's move to the next thing. Is there anything here that's easy? Because once you get to step 4, if you needed the bag from the sliced apples that you had earlier, if you needed this empty, used bag for sliced apples, where would you look for it first? Okay. And don't say it's sassy. Just ask the question, because they didn't see it as trash. They didn't see it as easy. But the process really works well with other people, just so y'all know too, right? I now have coaches. Did y'all know that? So, declutteringcoaches.com is my website. It's all my people who've been trained and certified by me. And so if you need somebody to work with you through the process, you can go there. You can click on your state, see if there's anybody near you, but then most of them also do online coaching as well. Okay, I'm going to take some questions from those of you who are watching. I am going to have to stop a little earlier than I usually do because I have a doctor's appointment. So let's see. If you have asked a question already, you can re-ask it with question marks at the front. They don't have to be the pretty ones like that, because I wouldn't know how to do that. Then you can re-ask the question, so I'll make sure I see it. Okay. 1 week of dishes daily. Thanks for the help. Adding a 5-minute pickup. Can't seem to get it under 10. I want to start talking, but I'm going to read the rest of your question. Kids are 3 and 1. Should I be able to do everything in 5, hoping it will be easier when they're older? Okay. A 5-minute pickup means a 5-minute pickup. It does not mean being finished in 5 minutes. Okay. The reason I say that is I want you to do your 5-minute pickups no matter what. Even if, and you're not, clearly, because you can do it in 10, but even if someone is at hoarding status, 5 minutes means 5 minutes. Okay. Now, the goal is to get it down to get your stuff under your clutter threshold where you can get it picked up in 5 minutes. Okay. Where a 5-minute pickup, everybody in the house doing it, means that the house gets picked up in 5 minutes. Okay. That means you are at a manageable level of stuff for your unique household, family, people. Okay. So the goal is set the timer for 5 minutes, pick up for 5 minutes. If 5 minutes doesn't cut it, declutter some more. Also, kids are 3 and 1. Okay. Obviously the 1-year-old, that's I don't know, there's a range, right? 12 months, between 13 months and 24 months, that's a big range, right? What they can do. They're not going to be super helpful, all right? But it's a great time for them to be helping out, give them an assigned task on that. But give yourself some time, like do the 5-minute pickup for a week, and you're probably going to get to the point where you can do a little bit more in that 5 minutes each day. But know that if you consistently are not able to get it done in 5 minutes, then you need to declutter more to get it under your clutter threshold for this phase of your life. Okay. I do want to say, if you're able to get your whole house picked up in 10 minutes, you're doing fantastic. I just want you to be proud of yourself, because that's awesome. Okay. But just remember, we're talking about a 5-minute pickup. We're not talking about getting the whole house picked up. They are two different things. The goal is that a 5-minute pickup gets the whole house picked up, but give yourself permission to just do the 5 minutes, see the impact of that 5 minutes, and know that if it's not enough, then decluttering is the way that so that's our goal. That's our goal when we declutter, is to get it down to a 5-minute pickup. I am finished decluttering. Woo! Yeah, this is not my thing. I just want to celebrate you. I also don't read them, before I pull them up here to answer. Please suggest baby steps to dive into deeper cleaning, such as windows. I mean, like, baby steps would be baby steps, right? For me, I have the very basics that I do on daily and weekly basis. And then the bigger stuff, I was thinking about it today. I was like, oh, I don't think I have anything going on this Saturday. I'm probably wrong, but I don't think I have anything going on. So I usually will be like, okay, what bigger thing can I do, which I feel okay doing, because the littler things are getting done daily and weekly. Okay. So, but I know there are a lot of places out there that talk specifically about this, and maybe you're ready for that, but that's not my thing. Because I just don't, it's not my thing. I don't know. I'm watching as I declutter papers. Whew, good for you. How do you deal with an overwhelming amount of paper and a spouse who thinks that everything should be shredded? Okay. You can go to like Staples or an Office Max or something like that, and a lot of them will have shredding services. Okay. What I will say here is that it's just like the getting donations out of your house can feel like a waste of time. Like let's say you had Saturday free. And honestly, as I'm sitting here talking, I'm thinking that's probably what I should do, is go do a donation drop off on Saturday. It feels like a waste of time, right? It feels like I should be doing something bigger than that. But there is so much power in getting this stuff out that it is worth your time to, like putting something in a box or whatever, that you're like, this is the stuff that we're taking to get shredded. That allows me to do it quickly. And then we're going to make the trip to Staples or wherever it is that you're going to go and, get the shredding done. Just call them before you go, so that you're not like, Dana said that y'all did this and you don't. Just call yours, make sure. But I know a lot of places like that do that. How to get over anxiety to take out decluttered trash when you have a tiny trash can for 3 apartments and nosy neighbors commenting on every bag and box you carry out of your home. I'm sorry that your neighbors are being unkind. I mean, how do you get over the anxiety? I mean, like, again, I'm not a mental health professional, and so I don't know the level of anxiety we're talking about here. Okay. I would say for me, I am one of those people, and this is just me. Again, this is not necessarily saying this is how to get over it. I am one of those people who I'm like, oh, you're telling me what to do, or you're saying something that is unkind. Well, you can pretty much guarantee I'm going to do the opposite, right? Like, I mean, just kind of like, hey, I'm trying to get this stuff out of my house. I mean, like, I'm one to like just go ahead and say something and confront whatever and say, I'm getting stuff out of my house. I'm sorry. I've got to do that so that I can get my house under control, so that it'll be easier. My goal here, I don't know. I don't know. I noticed the way you spell neighbors, and so I'm not sure if you're in Canada or England or wherever, but you know, you might have to ask some people, is there a like dump that you're able to go to, or is there some place where you can do a bulk trash thing, or is there a time, you know, I know some areas will have like a bulk trash pickup at different times. So have you ever been looking for an item and you couldn't find it until the fourth or fifth place, then you move it to the first place you look? Absolutely. Yes. This is, and once you get into that mindset and then you realize, oh, that's why this didn't work, because I hadn't put it in the first place where I looked for it. It's a great opportunity to be like, yeah, it now this is its home. This is the first place where I looked. Let's see. Do you have a video of decluttering foods specifically? Yay. I don't think I do. There might be something from years ago, but I probably am not following. That may be before I actually had developed my step-by-step process. So, but yeah, there's probably something from a long time ago. I'm thinking in my old house where I had like a, you know, like that. Why I don't encourage it. I love my project mentality. Like I love that my brain works this way on projects. The reason that I had to acknowledge that my project mentality was the reason my house was always a disaster. So it's not that I'm like, oh, I need to not have that. It's that I just had to go, oh, okay. That's why my house is a disaster, because I have a project mentality. So what I mean by that is I am good at projects. Like I love a good project, right? Like I love the beginning, the middle, the end. And so I am not in any way saying that a project mentality is bad. I'm just saying that the way I tackle other things, directing a play, writing a book, putting on a, you know, event, whatever, the way I tackle that, what I used to do is that because I'm successful in that area, I am going to apply that to my house, which meant that I would have the mentality of, okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to, like we talked about earlier, I'm going to make this big, long, detailed list. I am going to knock these things out, and I am going to get my house, you know, perfect. And that's, you know, then it'll make sense to maintain it, right? And in reality, that meant that I was putting off actually doing, oh my goodness. Did that happen last week at this time? Okay, I hope somebody email me and remind me to take that alarm off my phone. Okay. Do y'all know what I'm talking about? Like when I need to have an alarm go off at a certain time, which means it'll continually go off as opposed to like just a calendar alert, I will have it. The only way to do it that I know of with my iPhone is do like every Tuesday at this time. And anyway, it was when I was getting off a plane 2 weeks ago and I was going to need to call about my hair. Okay. What was I talking about? Project mentality. All right. So I would treat my house that way, which meant that I would have all that mentality of, okay, I am going to set aside a chunk of time and I'm going to really dive in. I'm going to really focus, which meant I was putting off doing all these little bitty things because I was waiting for this big time. And so I didn't realize this first and then change. I gave up and said, I don't know what to do, but I'm going to start doing the dishes because I know other people don't have dish disasters all the time. Okay. And doing that was what made me realize, oh, that's what changed my home. All those years of, you know, setting up these big, elaborate, get my house perfect systems and, you know, plans and all that, I could do it. And then I'd go right back to my house being a disaster because I would finish the project and my house would look amazing. And then it was 3 days after that, and I hadn't done a single dish in those 3 days because I was done with the project. The house was great. I deserve a break now, right? And it would go right back to being. So anyway, basically, how to manage your home without losing your mind is this right here, answers this question, but in 60,000 words. Okay. Let's see. Any tips for getting up and getting going in the morning? I languish through the mornings, not wanting to get started. I don't know. I mean, mornings are actually my time. Like, it's my time when I'm much more focused. And so I don't want to be like, oh, just get up, because I know it's not that way for everybody. We all have our different rhythms. If my question would be, how do you stay up? How do you keep your eyes open after 8:30 at night? Like, that would be my question. So, yeah, I want something that really helped me was pairing certain things, like and this is not what you're asking necessarily, but like I pair my coffee drinking with my Bible study time. So I'm like excited to drink the coffee, and now I'm also excited to have the Bible study time, because it's like, oh, this is what I do, and I've learned, to enjoy that time. So it's kind of like, what are you doing in this time where you're kind of languishing that you could pair with something else that needs to be done and that you want to do, but it's hard to get yourself going? I don't know. I don't feel like that's a great answer to that question, but it's what came to my brain in this moment. Let's see. Temporary house guests, a few months, how to deal with take it there now, but you can't because someone is sleeping, or an area I can't get to because someone else is there. Yeah, I mean, you could set an alarm. You can do whatever. You could set it right outside the door. I know this was one of those things. I remember when my kids were little, and it would be like, oh no, now's the time when I'm doing laundry and they're taking a nap and I can't go, I don't want to go in their room and wake them up or whatever. So it's the go as far as you can, but also if it's a decluttering issue of taking it there now, it might be something where, you put a limit to that, and you say, okay, this is a shoebox outside their room, so that I know that, it's not going to be too much, for me after that. Or do I really need to take it? Do I really need this? Or should I just throw it away or donate it instead? I don't know. Let's see. I can take maybe 2 more questions. Let's see. Let's see. I keep decluttering our house, and I do your steps, and I still am trying to find my clutter threshold. I still am having problems keeping my 2 sons' toys in check. They are 7 and 2. Everyone's laundry. I don't know. I know. We're just typing things on the internet, so and on your phone. So I can't quite figure it out exactly. Keeping your 2 sons' toys in checks. Oh, they're 7. I mean, let's involve them in the 5-minute pickup. Really embrace that 5-minute pickup. Say, we're going to do a 5-minute pickup on just their toy space, and let it be the thing of, okay, we've been doing this 5-minute pickup every day or almost every day for a couple weeks, and y'all still can't quite get it under control in 5 minutes, which means that you have more stuff than you can handle. So let's get rid of some more stuff that might be motivated to do better might motivate them to do better in the 5-minute pickup. It also, if you declutter more, it'll, get it down more. I don't know what the laundry question is, so I won't answer that. But the other one, I made up what the question probably was, right? Not really a question, just happy my county began curbside pickup for all us rural dwellers who had to take our trash to dumpsters. Yay! I mean, this is exciting. And I just want to say that, because I feel like there are people who, I know there are people, because they send me emails, right, who literally don't understand that not everybody has the same situation exactly that they have. And this is a real thing. I mean, like, we had our person asking just a little bit ago, like, there is a shared trash can, and then she gets, like, this is a real issue. And I just want to say I'm excited for you. That's wonderful. I also love your name, by the way. Okay, last question. I use your method to make things better because I don't have the time to do it all at once. Good. Then unexpectedly, someone comes over and I race around hiding everything. It is overwhelming. Okay. You're doing great. Okay. And this is reality. What I will say is, in the times where you are using the method, remind yourself that your goal is to get to your clutter threshold, which means that you won't be in this situation. And the only way to get to your clutter threshold is declutter, is get stuff out of the house, have less stuff. So if you're focusing on better, focus also on less. Less is super easy to achieve. It just means things are leaving your house. You want things gone out of the house. So the more you can get stuff out of the house, the less this is going to happen. Okay, more stuff out, less stress, because your goal is to get under your clutter threshold. The only way to do that is not to find places for things, but to get more stuff out of the house. So really say, in these moments that I have time, because I don't have time to do a ton at once, in these moments, I am going to get stuff out. Oh, great point too. Crystal also says, focus on visible spaces first. Yes, yes. Like really hardcore declutter those visible spaces. Get them to the point where they are, totally under your clutter threshold. Okay. All right. I'm going to have to stop there. I know it's earlier. This is a shorter one than usual, but life happens. Okay. I will, yes, triple yes to visible spaces. Y'all, that is so powerful. The visibility rule is powerful. Okay. All right. I'm going to talk to y'all later. Don't forget that if you want to ask a question for a future live, you can go to askdannykwhite.com, and I will see y'all next week. Okay. Bye, y'all.